What is going on, golf fans? It's your boy Gsluke here with our DFS core plays for this week's Valero Texas Open. We're back to stroke play, your normal format here before we get the Masters next week. So a little bit of a tune-up for some players in this field, and of course, one last spot into the first major of the year up for grabs. So a lot of drama likely over the weekend, potentially somebody having their life changed here going into one of my favorite weeks of the year, but we've got business to take care of here. So in this video, going to focus on the top end of the Draftkings pricing board and go over 4 players that I think you might want to keep an eye on. 2 that are excellent course history plays, and I am definitely getting to, especially considering some of their recent form. Somebody who's just been striping it there up there in the 10K range. And then finally, a sneakier option there in the 8K range. That's a really good skill set fit for this golf course, and I think you might want to consider for some of those large field contests. So 4 players to break down here. Let's go ahead and get this thing rocking. As we typically do to start these videos, let's take a peek at some of my key metrics for success to get an idea of some of the kind of stats I'm using to identify these top plays. So it's much more of a plotter's course. You can see approach plays at number 1, but surprisingly, driving accuracy is at number 2. This is much more about keeping yourself in play, taking advantage of the extra rollout you'll get on these firm and fast fairways. And then, of course, when you miss, being able to save par, because this is a relatively difficult track. 13 under, won it last year in 2022, and historically something in that high single digits, maybe up to like 15 under par, usually takes this kind of thing home. So looking at shots gained around the green, par 5 scoring is one of the differentiators up top. A lot of your winners, top 3 finishers are usually killing it when it comes to the par 5s. Putting is important, but you can see it's down at number 5, so a little bit less important this week than most. Looking at course history, it's tend to be relatively sticky over the years. Opportunities gained and birdie or better percentage, and then of course some of the comps. Best comp by far would be TPC Summerlin. I do like the Innisbrook Resort Copperhead course, so what they use for the Valspar as a comp, TPC Scottsdale, and then a few putting comps. You can take a look at the American Express, the Players Championship as well, also venues that have that POA Trivalous overseed. So that's an idea. Essentially, in general, you're looking for those plotters, guys that can keep themselves out of trouble. Because off the tee, have to say, not a bunch of water in play. You do have those tree-lined fairways, kind of similar to a Valspar Championship to worry about, but also natural areas. You have areas where there's fescue that can be up to like half a foot long, and then on top of that, these rocky areas, very similar to a TPC Summerlin, where it's all up to luck when you get into them, whether you're going to be against a rock, behind a bush, inside of one of those plants, large, natural area type of plants. It's a guessing game that you don't want to be a part of. So it's all about keeping yourself in the fairway, in position, and hopefully out of trouble. So at number 1, we've got ourselves the player that's been ball striking it well of late. In fact, your number 1 approach player in the field over the last 24 rounds, Rickie Fowler. 0.9 shots gained approach per round over that stretch, and in fact, he's gaining across all 4 stat categories. This is the resurgence for Rickie that a lot of his fans have been looking for. You look at the last 12 rounds, it sticks up. He's still gaining significantly with the approach play, and then very consistently gaining across all 4 stat categories. That's what he was known for when he was playing his best golf, and it's been shown in his recent performances. You can see there, T13, T31, hardly didn't make it out of match play his last time out. Was, I believe, like T17 officially at that point, because he lost in the playoff, right, to get into that knockout stage. So beat John Rahm at that event, was playing well, just hardly edged out during the group stage there. And overall, this is his last chance to get into the Masters, and I think he's live to win this golf tournament. He's got the skill set to get it done. He's got the form to get it done. And now you get him in a field where he's at least, I would say, a top 3 player in it, if not perhaps the best player, right? Terrell Hatton's the only other player that I think you could really contend with Rickie for this field, because Hideki's been injured, has not been playing well of late. Corey Connors doesn't have nearly the same top end upside. And then there's a clear delineation between these 10K golfers and then the rest of the field when it comes to talent level. So Rickie Fowler, I love the form. I do think he's going to garner some ownership here, but because of how well Terrell Hatton also models, you can see he's number 1 in recent form ranking. In fact, he's number 1 in terms of the course fit and total model ranking as well. But I don't think he's going to be 1.5 times more likely to succeed than Rickie Fowler, right? Because in fact, the approach play has been better for Fowler over the last 24 rounds. I like the around the green play for both of them. Both of them have stout short games. I like the putting for both of them as well. Just when it comes down to ownership, I expect on a Wednesday evening for Hand to be slightly higher owned than a Rickie Fowler. And when I can get a $700 price decrease and what I expect to be slightly lower ownership, I'm very likely to go in that direction. So it's a little bit speculative here. Obviously, it's early on a Monday. We don't know these ownership numbers, but I like the way that Rickie's been hitting it of late. I like the skill set fit, and he's got a whole lot of motivation, right, to go out there and get us that top end finish. Hopefully get into the Masters field for next week. Next up, we've got Siwoo Kim, $9,700. And this is the beginning of the stretch of course history gurus. When you take a look at event history, you're going to be hard-pressed to find better over his last 5 events. It's a T13, T23, T4, T45, okay, but then another top 25 finish there in 2017 with the T22 finish. So just been rock solid, has been very consistent here, and then over that stretch has gained on the greens at TPC San Antonio in 4 of the 5 starts. In fact, in his last 4 starts at this venue. And really that's been his kryptonite, right? The approach play, the tee to green play has always been there. You can see gaining in all 3 stat categories. The putting of late has actually become a positive, which is why the form has started to come around and why he's now $9,700. So he had a T27, T39, actually played well at the Dell match play. Not somebody that got out of group play, but was very competitive in all 3 matches. And before that was just posting consistent finish after consistent finish. Popped there at the American Express, of course. Has shown that winning upside here just this season. And at $9,700, you're sure paying a premium for him. He's the top end of that next range, right? There's a clear talent level gap between him, Montgomery, and then these guys there in the 10K range. But if you're going to go to anybody that's slightly overpriced in this field, I want it to be somebody that's in form and then loves the golf course, right? And he checks both of those boxes emphatically. He will get some ownership because people are going to look at that course history. They're going to look at that recent form, right? Whether it's the last 12 rounds or the last 24, he's gaining in all the 3 tee to green categories, has been insane off the tee over his last 12. That's notable, right? 0.7 shots per round. That's up there with a Terrell Hatton, and seemingly loves the greens here. So hopefully the ownership isn't too crazy on Siwoo. There are guys around him like Taylor Montgomery. He's no slouch either. Davis Riley's been in form of late. Hopefully they garner enough ownership to keep him there, maybe like 20% owned max. Or like if he was like 18, 19%, that's certainly going to be inflated ownership, but still the kind of level that I'd be willing to eat. So a lot of this comes down to ownership, but hopefully keep it a little bit low there in Siwoo. Getting to our last 2 plays, I will remind you, if you want access to my entire player pool, ownership, all of the modeling for everybody above $8,000, make sure to check out the Patreon page. Everything that is blacked out is on there. You can download these sheets, use them for your own modeling. Of course, use all of the research on there in terms of shots gained metrics, recent form, course history, all of that. And you get access to all the prop content that I'm putting out there too. So a great deal to go out there and check out. It's a Patreon page and a link is down below. But getting into these last 2 plays, we've got Matt Kutcher to begin, who, much like a Siwoo Kim, has got the course history of all course histories here. On top of somebody that has made his cut here, every time he showed up, it's over 12 starts. This is the beacon of consistency when it comes to performance around TPC San Antonio. Finished T2 last time out, T12, T7, made a few cuts there in 2017, 2018, but this course history goes back to 2012. I mean, this guy has been playing this course and playing it well for seemingly forever, and it makes sense. He's got that plotter attitude to him, right? Accurate enough off the tee when he misses, it's not by all that much, to keep himself out of that trouble. He's got the approach play. He's long enough for this sort of golf course, can take advantage of that extra rollout off the tee, and loves the greens, has been very consistent on these greens over the years. So the shots gained metrics of late, over the last 24 rounds, he's gaining across the board, which is kind of his MO, right? He's a very consistent player. And then over the last 12 rounds, it holds up too. You can see he's gaining across all 4 categories. So going out there and, kind of putting his stamp on things, right? He's not going to wow you in any one category. I know for a $9,000 golfer, we're looking for that top end upside, but, he's going to get to that top end performance by nickel and diming you every single round, by going out there, gaining a stroke and a half to the field all 4 rounds. So I don't think he's the best outright bet. I'm not sure if he's going to win this golf tournament, but considering how weak the field is, I think in this lower end of the 9K range, he's a great shoe-in for like a top 25. And then hopefully, of course, for these large field GPPs, you can get that top 10, top 5 upside, right? That's, of course, the optimal scenario here with a Matt Kutcher. So I don't know if I'd go running to the window to go and bet Matt Kutcher outright, but I love him over here for the DFS market. And then lastly, we've got ourselves Alex Noren at $8,800. And this is the more speculative play. I'm not worried about ownership. Kutcher, Siwoo, Rickie Fowler, I'm expecting to get some steam, and I think it's deservingly so. But with Alex Noren, I'm expecting close to single-digit ownership. A lot of it comes down to form. At $8,800, the shots gained metrics aren't beautiful like it is for a lot of the players in this range. But you can see here, gaining with everything but off the tee. Over the last 12 rounds, it gets a little bit more dicey. You can see, again, gaining with everything but off the tee, but off the tee has been a real issue for him of late. At this golf course, I know you want to have guys that are accurate, but if there's any one shots gained category that really matters a lot less this week than most, first off, it's off the tee, and then it's your putter, right? It's mostly about your approach play and your around the green play, which even despite having some sketchy form, right, has not been his best self, at least on the PGA Tour side over the last month or so. He's still gaining, right, around the green and with the approach play over the last 24 rounds, a little bit more significantly in both categories. And the recent form, right, has been atrocious, right? So if this is like his bare bones worst self, right, missed cut, T61 before that, right, I think his best finish is like one top 25 over his last 24 rounds. If that's, what the shots gained metrics look like when he's not popping, then what is his upside when he actually goes out there and performs well, right? Gets to a course like this that I think really fits his game, pops with the approach play, pops with that putter. It's immense upside, right? So like the floor is there. I think he's got one of the lower floors of anybody that's priced $8,000 and above. But I think he has similar upside to guys like a Siwoo Kim, a Matt Kutcher. I think he has a lot more upside than somebody like a Matt Kutcher. And honestly, up there with like these 10K players, like I think he has a similar level of top 5 equity to the guys in the 10K range. Just unfortunately, right, his floor is that of a 7K range golfer. Like somebody down here like a Pendrith, Bill Hostler, that sort of thing. So you're definitely got to keep that in mind. You got to understand that you're playing with fire a little bit when you're playing somebody like an Alex Noren. But at $8,800, because you have past champion JJ Spawn there, Ben Griffin's been in incredible form. He's going to be that overlooked player. Another little bonus here, I meant to mention it before. Kutcher loves this green surface, that overseeded Poetrivolus. That Alex Noren loves it. You can see same thing with Siwoo Kim, Rickie Fowler. That's a huge boost to their modeling in my projections, and honestly why I'm getting to a lot of those guys as core plays as well. So worth noting there. Alex Noren, maybe a little bit more of a sketchy pick out there, but I think is the upside to get there in some of those large field contests. That's all I've got for the core plays. Before you're hopping out of here, go ahead, comment down below who you've got winning this week. I'll go ahead, stay out of the 10K range. That's what I usually like to do with these videos. We'll take Siwoo Kim. Let's go for dub number 2 of the season. He's coming in with the form. I love the course fit, love the course history. And the only way to improve on that course history, right, would be to add a dub to that. So I think he's primed for it. Go ahead, though. Let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking. Smash that like button if you haven't already. And get ready for the rest of the content this week. We've got ourselves a regular stroke play event, which means we're back to doing our value plays videos. We'll do fades and sleepers like we have been over the last month. And, of course, that weekly DFS live stream, which will be back to its normal time slot Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. So looking forward to all of that. If you haven't already subscribed, make sure you do so you don't miss any of that content when it drops. Best of luck with those DFS lineups, any outright bets you decide to go with. It's worth noting that I've bet all 4 of these core plays except for Matt Kutcher. So Kutcher's the only one that I haven't added to the card. I'm considering still doing it, and I know maybe he doesn't have as much winning upside as the other players. Maybe I add like a top 5 on Matt Kutcher. So make sure to stop on by for the stream. I'll go ahead, let you guys know what the final decision was made there. May end up caving, just betting them outright, but who knows? We'll see, right? We'll update you on Wednesday. But until then, like I said, best of luck. I appreciate all the support here on the channel, and let's get this cash, fellas.